JJ,
Dad.
welcome back to Breakdown. St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2025. The collective madness has begun.
You know, it's that time of year, middle of March. It's time to get crazy.
You know, Royera said everybody loved the sunshine. I think everybody loved the NCAA brackets. What say you?
Why not? Why not both? No, you don't need to be mutually exclusive.
All right. I know I love the brackets, JJ. We're
Yes,
going to
sir.
talk about the brackets. They came out yesterday.
They did.
What surprised you most?
There were a few surprises. I mean, I think the biggest surprise was some teams that got in, over some teams that didn't get in. But
that's always a surprise.
That's always a big surprise.
Yeah.
West Virginia, I think, Bracket Matrix is an aggregator of all of the different professional and amateur brackets across like the college basketball landscape, and 100% of brackets had West Virginia in.
Okay.
But the NCAA tournament selection committee did not. So that was a pretty big surprise. They got North Carolina in instead. Indiana not making it wasn't a huge surprise, but what surprised you?
Well, as you said, North Carolina, they were 1-14 against
Quad one opponents.
Yeah, that doesn't say very much, man. You get 15 opportunities to do something, and you only can win one game.
Yeah, but as the committee chair said, they were 8-0 in Quad 2. So
okay, 8-0. Okay.
And before that, I had never heard anyone mention Quad 2. I have no idea what Arkansas's record is against Quad 2. I have no idea what anybody's record is against Quad 2.
Yeah.
Because before North Carolina needed to hang their hat on that, no one was talking about it.
Yeah.
But they're in.
Thursday, when we talk about some teams being in, let's talk about some conferences with some teams in. How many did the Big Ten get?
Big Ten got less than I expected at the middle of the year. They only got 8 in.
They got 8.
Yeah, I was thinking Indiana might sneak in, but alas, they did not.
How you like the seeding? Michigan, they just won the Big Ten tournament. They got a 5 seed.
They did get a 5 seed.
Explain that to me.
Well, the committee does not care about the Big Ten championship game.
Okay.
And they said that they had made 2 different brackets, contingency brackets, in the event that Wisconsin won or Michigan won. But that was a bold-faced lie. Because if they had done that, then they would have moved Michigan up. It doesn't make any sense. They're tied for the 3rd most Quad 1 wins in the country. They just won the 2nd most hardest conference in the country, and
they kind of breezed through it.
Yeah, I mean
to the conference tournament.
Yeah, no, they absolutely deserved higher than a 5 seed. The team that they beat, Wisconsin, got a 3 seed, which I thought was interesting. And then a team that, has been, it was Dr. and Jekyll for Mr. Hyde for forever. They've been Mr. Hyde for like the last, 2 months. Illinois got a 6 seed. So yeah. I don't, mathematically it doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is.
There's another conference that we typically talk about on our little get-together thing, and that would be the SEC. What's your take on the SEC?
SEC broke the Big East record.
In what way?
They had, 87% of their conference made it. 14 of 16 of SEC schools made it into the NCAA tournament, which is interesting because the NIT guarantees 3 teams from the SEC bids. They have auto bids for 3 SEC teams.
Well, the remaining 3, I mean,
remaining 3.
The remaining
please
2,
list those 3.
The remaining 2, South Carolina and LSU, they don't even have winning records.
Yeah, and at least one of them had already declined. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't see the NIT even wanting them, given that.
I don't think this. I think they hadn't planned on this particular outcome.
JJ, was the SEC really that good to get 14 of their 16 teams?
Were they that good? No.
Or are they that good?
No, they're not that good. Are they that much? Do they deserve 14 teams relative to the field? That's a different question.
Okay.
I don't think anybody is that good.
Okay.
So with that in mind, I think the SEC did get a lot of the benefit of the doubt. The Big Ten got 8 teams in, and
they were second with most.
Yeah, they didn't get one seed. They didn't get a single 1 seed, and they also didn't get any seeds below 7. Their lowest seed was a 7. Whereas the SEC got numerous bids below 7. They got 10. Vandy and Arkansas are 10 seeds. They got a couple of, got 11 seeds.
Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, both 9 seeds.
Yeah, so they got the benefit of the doubt. It looks like anytime there was anything.
So who's from the Big Ten you think should have gotten in? You said Indiana. What about Ohio State?
Ohio State has a couple of good wins. The win over Kentucky, I thought was pretty good considering it was at the time when they still had Jackson Robinson. I thought Kentucky was a more complete team at that moment in time. Ohio State is too Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde for me too. But if Illinois is a 6 seed, then I have no idea how Ohio State isn't in the tournament. Like it just seems inconsistent.
Yeah, but as far as the Big Ten, the SEC goes, their non-conference winning percentage was extraordinary.
It was.
So based on that alone, that's probably the key contributor in them getting as high as a bid as they did. I mean, as many teams in as they did. But you know what? Once they toss the ball up, it doesn't matter how many teams you got in. It's what you do as your own team. I remember not that long ago, Michigan, the Big Ten had quite a few teams in, and they did not live up to their billing.
Yeah, they had gotten the most in, and by the first weekend, at least half of them are out. Meanwhile, I think that same year, the ACC only got, I think they got 5 teams into the tournament, and 4 of them made it to the Sweet 16.
Wow.
So, but that obviously, if you look at the ACC since then, that wasn't an indicator of things to come. The ACC is pretty weak now, but you just never know.
If you go back 10, 15 years, I remember a time when the SEC was getting 3, 4. If they got 5 teams into the tournament, they would have considered that a major, major victory.
Yeah.
And now they got 14. Crazy. But they do have 2 additional teams.
They do.
JJ, let's talk. What you want to talk about next?
We can talk about. We talked about some of the teams that we thought were underseeded in the Big Ten. Why don't we talk about like the draws for the location?
Okay.
Auburn is the overall number 1 seed.
Surprised me. They lost 3 of their last regular season games. I think they lost
3 or 4. 3 of their last 4 games.
Yeah.
They lost their 3.
So they're the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah, their resume was still the best in the country.
Ahead of Duke.
Yes, ahead of Duke, and they get to play in Lexington, Kentucky, which is interesting because their 8-9 matchup is Louisville versus Creighton, and if Louisville gets by Creighton, they would be an hour and a half drive away from
basically a home court for Louisville.
That seems like a disadvantage for both schools because Louisville obviously I think should be. They were underseeded at 8. I think everyone was projecting them as a 6. So they were obviously underseeded, but so they were like screwed over a little bit. But then Auburn has to play underseeded Louisville team, so they both kind of got the short end of the stick on that one.
At 8-9 seed is a tough seed to be.
Yeah.
Because the winner has to play typically the 1 seed, unless it's the year that Virginia played Baltimore, Maryland, somebody like that.
Yeah, and then the next year when Purdue played Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yes. Gosh, that's true. But I want to talk a little bit to you about potential Big Ten SEC matchups.
Yeah, let's talk about some Big Ten SEC matchups.
Okay, there are none to start the tournament.
Yeah.
Potential second round matchup could be Michigan and A&M out of the South. And then in the Midwest, the only other region, you could see Kentucky or Texas playing Illinois. And you could potentially see UCLA playing Tennessee.
Yeah.
Those are the only 3 potential first weekend matchup.
Yeah, in the first weekend, there's not a whole lot, but if things play out the way that they should, there's going to be a lot of Big Ten SEC matchups later down the road, and some SEC matchups too.
That's true.
A lot of those are possible as well.
That's true. How about some games this week, JJ?
Okay, let's talk about the games this week.
One that you had mentioned a few minutes ago before we started talking was the Missouri-Drake game. What's the significance of that game?
Well, Missouri's, they have a bounce back year. Last year, Dennis Gates went defeated in the conference. They didn't win a single game. This year, they largely returned most of the same players back and had a much better year. Top 20 team the entire season for the most part. They get that 6th seed, right? Or they 6 or 7?
They are Missouri's a 6 seed.
6th seed, yeah. Missouri, they're without one of their best players. He's injured, so I think Drake is a popular pick. Drake, I think they won like 30 games this year. They have their coach Ben McCollum. He's been getting a lot of traction. There's rumors, Indiana has an opening. There's rumors attached that he'll go there. But he is a guy from Iowa, and another job opened up in the Big Ten, Iowa, and some people think that he might want to take that job, depending on how he feels about the pressure cooker that is Bloomington, Indiana, and versus maybe he wants to stay home. So we don't know, but he is definitely a coach to watch.
Okay, the Big Ten has 3 vacancies for coaching basketball right now. You telling me Drake coach? What other coach out there may potentially fill one of the Big Ten vacancies?
So yeah, Ben McCollum is potentially gonna fill one of either Iowa or Indiana's position. What I would bet not my life on, I'll bet thousands and thousands of dollars on is that Nico Medved from Colorado State University will be Minnesota's next head coach whenever Colorado State's season ends.
And what are they playing this weekend?
This weekend, they play the Memphis Tigers, the 12-5 matchup that everyone is circling. Colorado State's actually a 2.5-point favorite. Memphis's second best player, Tyrese Hunter, was in a walking boot halfway through the conference championship game, and there are reports that he will not be able to be available for the NCAA tournament. So, they still got PJ Haggerty, they still got Dane Danger, they still got Musa Cisse, but without a guy like Tyrese Hunter, with real conference tournament experience, with real leadership, I can understand why Colorado State would be favored.
Wow.
And they got a first round draft pick, Nick Crawford, to watch out for, but it's not quite Big Ten or SEC, but Colorado State's coach will be in the Big Ten, and Memphis is an SEC country, so might as well throw that in there.
I want to pick out a few teams specifically to talk about, and you can keep me moving, okay? I don't want to get bogged down, but I want to talk about Michigan. They're playing UC San Diego.
Yeah.
And if they win, they will play the winner of the Texas A&M Yale game.
Yeah.
Last year, Yale beat Auburn.
Yeah.
In the first game. Michigan, JJ, as I said earlier, they kind of breezed through the Big Ten tournament, but prior to that, they had lost 3 in a row. Which team for Michigan is going to show up in the tournament? Is it the team that lost those 3 in a row, or the team that breezed through the Big Ten tournament?
Well, looking at their matchups, I think it's going to be the team that won the Big Ten tournament. Okay. I don't think that I know a lot of people are picking UC San Diego as a 5-12 upset, but I don't really see them having a chance. I know they have good guard play, but I just don't think that they have a chance to do anything with Michigan. I'd be surprised if that was anything. I've seen UC San Diego play only once this year, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I'd be surprised if it was anything less than a 15-point game.
Given the matchup, the seedings and all, what's Michigan's ceiling? How high can they go? How high can they soar?
They can make it to the Final Four if they want. I mean, they can make it to the Final Four.
Okay. They would have to beat Auburn, most likely.
Most likely. Or Louisville.
Or Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see them beating Michigan State.
Yeah, you couldn't see Michigan State losing to Wisconsin, which they did, and you couldn't see Michigan winning in March, which they did.
I'll just say this: they played Michigan State and Michigan have played twice this year.
Yeah.
In order for one of those teams to get to if they both win until it comes to the Elite Eight, and they play each other in the Elite Eight, I would sell my house and put everything on Michigan State.
Well, you can do that. You won't be able to live with me when you lose your house, but
Okay. Let's talk about Michigan State really quickly.
Yeah.
What'd you see their matchup? First game, Bryant. Second potential game against Marquette.
I've not watched Bryant. I don't know enough about them to say anything intelligent about them, but it's a 2-15, so I gonna assume that they're gonna advance beyond that. I have watched plenty of Marquette.
And our New Mexico.
I watched a little of New Mexico. New Mexico, last year they had Eddie House's son and
Their coach. Who's their coach?
Richard Pitino. He won't be at New Mexico next year, but we're not sure exactly where he's going to be. He won the conference coach of the year, but they had a Jamal. Anyway, they had Eddie House's son and the other son from the Kentucky player, the '90s Kentucky player, Jamal Mashburn's son, Jamal Mashburn Jr. He doesn't have either of those players anymore, but they still were able to make it as a higher seed than they were last year. Last year they won the conference tourney and were a 12 seed, so they wouldn't have made it without winning their conference. This year, as an at-large, they make it as a 10 seed. I do like Marquette a lot. I think Marquette could give Michigan State some trouble. I don't think New Mexico would give Michigan State a lot of trouble, but I think Marquette could give Michigan State some trouble. Cam Jones is Michigan State will have their hands full with Cam Jones. But I do think Michigan State's the better team. I think they're a 2 seed for a reason. So
okay. We talked about Michigan State. What's the other Big Ten team that's most likely to make it to the Final Four?
Well, I mean, seeding wise, I would think that might be Wisconsin. They have them as a 3 seed, but I'm gonna go with Maryland, 4 seed. I think they have a favorable matchup for the most part. I am not big on Florida. Florida is the 4th 1 seed. They are a huge pick to make it to the Final Four and to win the whole thing. And I knew that they would be. They've been playing really well. I think they've won 12 of their last 14 games. But they have a lot of weaknesses in their ability to guard the perimeter that I think Maryland can take advantage of. And on the inside, Maryland has a 1st-round pick, a freshman. He's a very skilled center. I'm not sure if he's a lottery pick or not, but he can do. He's going to be way too much for Florida to handle. I think.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Florida makes it past UConn, honestly. But if they do, I have Maryland beating them pretty.
Well, I'm not even sure UConn makes it past Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, I would take Oklahoma to beat UConn.
Good point. Oklahoma could also beat Florida, so it doesn't matter if UConn or Florida or Oklahoma makes it.
Well, I'm sure they played Florida earlier this year.
Yeah, and Florida played Tennessee earlier, in which they lost by 20, and then they played yesterday, in which they won by almost 20. So
and they lost by 20, but prior to losing by 20, they won by 30.
Yeah, so it's almost like each game is a different entity of itself. So
almost.
Almost.
Okay.
So I like Maryland. Who do you like outside of Michigan State to make a run?
Michigan State's my favorite team. I'm not a big Purdue fan. My second favorite team out of the Big Ten would be to make some noise would be Wisconsin. I see them making more noise than Michigan or Purdue, and as I've said numerous times, I don't feel it for Illinois. I don't have that feeling. And for Oregon and UCLA, are they really in the Big Ten?
Well, yeah, they are.
Okay. So I don't think they're going to do much damage in the dance either.
Yeah, I don't think UCLA will.
Okay. Let's a couple of SEC teams. You talked about Auburn, Florida, Tennessee. They lost to Florida in the SEC championship game. How good is Tennessee? I think Tennessee has a very favorable bracket.
They do have a very favorable
until
bracket.
they get to Houston.
Well, I don't know about that. They lost to Kentucky twice, and there is a potential Sweet 16 matchup with them.
That's true.
And Kentucky no longer has Jackson Robinson, and they have Lamont Butler, Butler, and Andrew Carr is also not 100%. So, Tennessee, I think, would be favored if they were to match up again. But, I do think Kentucky matches up decently with them. I like Kentucky. Chaz Lanier, I think, is pretty good. I don't think he's as good as Dalton Knecht. I don't think Zakai Ziegler this year is as good as Zakai Ziegler was last year.
Okay.
But I do like their roster. I think that they're a complete team. I think that they'll guard you, and I think that once they get out of the SEC, I think that they'll do well against Utah State or UCLA, whoever makes it. But if they get past Kentucky, I could see them I can see them making it to a Final Four, honestly.
Whoa.
But
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm pretty high on Houston.
Yeah, me too. JJ, before I ask you for your Final Four, I want you to give me a dark horse team from the SEC, a dark horse team from the Big Ten, and a dark horse team that's neither one of those two schools. And my dark horse has to be seated lower than a 4.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess my dark horse for the Big Ten would be Michigan then, because they're seated lower than a 4, even though they should be a 3 seed.
Okay.
SEC, my dark horse. That's a good question. I think I like Ole Miss more than a lot of teams, but I don't think that they're gonna go super far based on their matchup.
Well,
I'll pick. I'm pretty bullish on a coach that used to coach the University of Kentucky, an Italian coach from New York that used to coach the University of Kentucky. But he might have to play another Italian coach from New York who used to coach the University of Kentucky in the second round. They have Arkansas versus St. John's as a potential matchup.
okay.
Patino versus Calipari. And my dark horse would be, if Calipari could get by them, my dark horse would be the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay. Eliminate the ifs and tell me who your dark horse is.
I just told you.
Okay. And you know what? You are absolutely correct. The Arkansas Razorbacks is the team that no one wants to play right now. And guess who's coming back? Guess who's coming back for them?
I bet one team does want to play them.
Guess who's coming back for the Arkansas Razorback?
Well, I've heard that Boogie Fland is coming back. I hope that's not true. I remember what happened when Kyrie Irving came back for Duke. I don't know if that injecting that chemistry in right now would be a good idea, but we'll see.
Well, does Arkansas beat Kansas?
Yes.
With Hunter Dickinson, the ex-U of M.
Yeah, if Hunter Dickinson doesn't play, then maybe not. But if he does play, then yes.
Okay, who's your dark horse for the whole tournament?
That'd be my favorite. The coach. That coach is my favorite team, or my favorite coach ever, which is Rick Pitino. He's a 2 seed, so
I said a dark horse.
Rick Pitino, St. John's. He's a dark horse. 2 years ago, he was coaching Iona. No one would have thought he would.
Okay, I want someone seated for less than the 4 seed.
I mean, then the whole tournament, Arkansas still.
Okay, you smart man. Very smart man. Give me 5, man. Don't leave me hanging. There you go. Okay, JJ, you want to give me your Final Four?
Nah, not yet.
Okay. You want to give me your Sweet 16? You don't have to.
I got a few teams.
Let's go.
I'll give you my SEC and Big Ten teams that I have.
Okay, that'll work.
I have Auburn making it to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
Michigan State making it to the Sweet 16. Maryland.
Wait a minute. Okay. It just surprised me, but you when you was in the bracket, you went to Michigan State and you bypassed.
Okay, I also have Michigan and Ole Miss.
Okay.
If we want to go in that order, I also have Maryland. I also have Florida. Then it's just Wisconsin, Alabama, Purdue, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So not too much Big Ten or SEC.
Okay. And wow. Before we go, JJ, who has the better chance to win it all this year, the SEC or the Big Ten?
Well, the SEC has to have the better chance. They have the better seeding. They have the more teams. So yeah, I mean, I would. The
more team doesn't really mean anything.
It does to me.
Okay.
More opportunities to. Yeah, it does to me.
Okay, it doesn't to me.
Why does it not to you?
Because half of their team, they got. If you look at from the 7 or better, the Big Ten has as many teams seeded 7 or better as the SEC does.
But teams that are seeded below 7 can still win the tournament. Okay,
I know. But I'm saying that's why it doesn't mean too much to me. And JJ, I'm sure you shaved your beard for the NCAA tournament.
No, I shaved my beard because it's spring. Winter is over.
Wait a minute.
Winter is over.
Wait a minute. I looked at the weather report.
Winter is over.
I was outside today.
It was 70 degrees on Friday.
Today.
It was 70 degrees Friday.
It was in the 30s.
It's the winter.
I was outside.
Winter's over. It's the spring.
JJ, collective madness is called sanity.
Mm.
The madness is here, but it's driving me insane.
Mm.
You don't get it, do you?
I don't think collective madness is called sanity.
Yes, sir.
I might have to disagree with that. I think it's just, I don't know. Well, anyway.
What did we leave out there before we get out of here?
Not much to say. The vernal equinox is upon us. Everybody get out there. Oh, the Bengals signed T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So it's been a great Monday.
The SEC will send 10 teams to the Sweet 16.
Well, we'll see.
I'm sorry, 6 teams. Six teams to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
WPS. Whoopeg Suey.
Who they?